Welcome to tonight's episode of Magic the Thinking, a Wizards of the Roast production. Today we will be reading a article from HuffPost titled, How to Ask Grandpa Not to Tell Your Son Boys Don't Cry. And this is filed under the folder Parents, Byline. It can get awkward if you don't handle things carefully. By Allison Schaefer. It can be a challenge raising a boy who is protected from the harmful effects of society's gender stereotypes. Are there nothing but harmful effects? What about the beneficial effects of society's gender stereotypes? Or are they purely evil? I wonder how nuanced this link will be. Gender stereotypes are firmly rooted by age 10, global study. Anyways, let's just get back. Let's not get distracted. Early exposure to narrow cultural messages of what it means to be a boy and a man, or masculine, imprints on our tots. Of course, we try our best as parents to break down these gender biases, but what do we say when our friends or families blurt out some old relic like, "Boys don't cry," or "Pink is for girls." Can't do the NXS voice. That guy's register was way out of my proportion. Or "Boys will be boys." Ouch. Things can get socially awkward if we don't handle the situation correctly. Now let's go back. We try our best as parents to break down these gender biases by replacing them with others, such as that "boys don't cry" is purely negative, or "pink is for girls" is somehow destructive, or "boys will be boys" is purely an excuse and not a way to deal with the awful awkwardness and pumped up testosterone activities of young men. Ouch. Things can get socially awkward if we don't handle the situation correctly. So here are some tips to guide you through. 1. Know your motivation. Take a moment to ponder your motivation. Are you trying to put a relative you don't like in their place? And this is just another transgression you want to point out. Are you a protective mama who will attack anyone who tries to hurt their baby or perceive anything as an attempt to hurt their baby? Or are you doing your part in helping to enlighten others and shift our cultural stereotypes of gender? So wait, they want to shift our cultural stereotypes of something that they think is purely harmful. Oh, there's another freaking link. Gender norms around boys are ingrained in us when we're young, but there are ways to unlearn them. It seems like the Huffington Post Parents folder has an agenda. You want to know what this agenda is? Let's look at a snippet of this video.
I hate gender, to be honest. However, I'm enjoying my gender now. This is what my freedom looks like. But I keep seeing these reveals of babies and people are still doing the pink and the blue. And I'm like, we're still locked in these little things.
Notice that this person is wearing blue and presenting as masculine. How are they not playing into a blue is masculine aesthetic? Take a deep breath. And trust that your 24/7 parenting has more impact on your child's development than any one passing statement. What does that mean, 24/7 parenting? I hear the sound of black Apaches in the distance. 24/7 parenting. Well, of course, those comments aren't ideal. They don't fall in the category of harming your child. The motivation of the relative or friend, although naive, this is so patronizing. This is treat your parents in the most patronizing manner possible. Was likely without malcontent. Likely, but you can't completely dismiss this, can you? Because of the malcontent of the gender stereotypes that are not the stereotypes that we want to impose upon the genders. Know your child will be fine and think of your intentions before deciding how to give a considered response instead of a knee-jerk reaction. This can be taken as a time to teach rather than scold. Thank you, Huffington Post, for telling us how to very safely, passive-aggressively argue with our relatives. Step 2. Build your courage with small social experiments. Yeah, okay, what does that mean? Social, not Darwinism, what's the other one? Social construction. To continue, not all parents react to gender normative language or stereotypes by speaking out. For many, it's more likely they will stand in stony disbelief, not knowing what to say, and so they say nothing at all. Not all parents. So this is like most people in the whole world want to have this conversation and want to imprint their ideology upon their family. It's not. This is a rhetorical tact to make you feel like you are on the right side and there's billions and billions of people on the correct side with you. So there's nothing outlieristic about your behavior. Now, you may decide it's not worth the social strain and drop the topic altogether. But if you feel that not speaking up to others makes you feel resentful or powerless, I suggest you challenge yourself to find your voice by doing some small social experiments and speaking up. Think of who you feel the most comfortable speaking up to, and think of the comment you would be most willing to say that reaches slightly outside your comfort zone. Make your comment, and this is like how to become an evangelist. Make your comment and then notice their reaction. The world didn't end. They didn't stop loving you. All that worry for nothing. So just turn up the heat a little bit. You don't just jump right into the JW, or the SJW, as it would, pounding on the doors, "Little pig, little bigot, let me in. Not by the hair of my heteronormative chin. Then I'll huff, and I'll ree, and I'll blow your house in." Build your courage over time with more demonstrative statements, and to people you are more worried about offending. Soon, you will find your voice for those harder conversations. Step 3, prepare your reply in advance. So go around sketching out, like, what am I going to say to the next person that offends my ideology? What am I going to say to the next person that offends my ideology? I'm going to have it all set out. Knowing me, it'll be an iambic pentameter. Don't pressure yourself to come up with something eloquent to say on the fly. Do you think Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King Jr. didn't spend hours composing powerful prose? Yes, because this instance of questioning gender is on par with ending apartheid and 60s civil rights activism. Absolutely. There is a continuum of likelihoods of being relative to one another. Having your lines in your back pocket for when you need to use them will give you confidence. There's actually a link. I hope it's somehow about Eminem and how he comes up with songs. How to respond to family members who post racist memes during the holidays. Wait, what? Wait, specifically racist memes during the holidays? Just during that time? Families, what kind of tradition is post-racist memes happening during the holidays? Is that something new that I didn't hear about from old people Facebook? It's okay, let's not get distracted down the Huffington Post. That's in the folder marked living. Yes, living. You can even vet them through some like-minded friends to quell any worry about how they sound. That's really interesting. So come up with your witty rejoinders in your cafes with your anti-biased gender crew. Speak in a kind and digestible manner. Since the intention is to enlighten, right? So you're on the right side. No need to worry or question yourself. Not judge or shame others, which is not true. You've already judged them. You're just trying not to shame them. But if shame comes in handy, then you certainly will. Make sure you communicate in a kind and understanding way that's not patronizing whatsoever, that allows the other person to recover from their mistake, right? So there already is a judgment that you've made because they've made a mistake. And you're judging them, and now you're trying to pass the judgment on to them so that they can correct their behavior to your correct way of behaving. Comma, and be open to new thinking on an old paradigm. Oh, wait, not you. Not you be open to new thinking on an old paradigm, but that other person recover from their mistake and be open to new thinking in an old paradigm. If they feel attacked, they won't be open to change. They'll likely be more closed and guarded. That's why I'm using my buttery voice to wiggle into the ears of Huffington Post readers, to help them hear and ingest. Okay, well, we started with digestible. Now we're on ingesting, right? So just to get the ideas into their mouth and down their throat, don't start a debate. Speak in your own voice, but keep it short and sweet. Light-hearted, too humorous will do the job. For example, you could say, I just read this great research article online that says those types of gender comments are actually a big problem for boys learning to express their emotions. I was blown away. If you'd like, I can send it to you. I'm going to try my best to stop using that language now. With that in mind, if you have a great one-liner you have been using with success, please share it in the comment fields. Yes, great, awesome. Help us, help you. Help the world. Change. 5. Remember, you're only responsible for your actions. What? Seems like you want to be responsible for everybody's actions because you're going around finding the mistake in their behavior and causing people to frown. And while your baby is sandwiched amongst your memories, you persuade the wayward elder to look upon the new reality of blues being worn by masculine-appearing, soft-spoken people. Not going to make fun of somebody, but it is a little bit tilted. We are all doing our part to push the needle towards a world that understands and nurtures boys, rather than confining them to outdated gender norms and stereotypes. You're doing your part by speaking up respectfully. Now, I haven't actually spoke about this. Let's finish this up and I'll talk about emotionality and manhood. You're not, however, responsible for what others do with this information. So, don't get discouraged. Measure your success by how well you found your voice and defended your beliefs. I'm going to do that just now. Not by if you got grandpa to change his ways. Stereotypically, they end with grandpa, not grandparent, to change his, not their ways. Thank you, Allison Schaefer. I do want to talk about emotionality in boys. The thing is, being a boy, you have a turned up sort of sensitivity and activity, and it's generally tilted in a certain way. Boys are generally tilted to expressing their energies in a certain way, and it's raw and it's physical. Generally speaking, there are people who are less that's true, but a boy who has a high capacity to be rageful and like, go get him, smash it, like toy truck, gonna dig in the ground. It's helpful for them to be aware that their emotions will very quickly spiral out of control and not land on anything productive. So, to keep their emotions in check, they need to develop a relationship with their energies. And so there's all these things that are driving the boy, and the boy needs to recognize that he can stand apart from all of that tumult and view it and make choices that provide better results rather than just following those emotions to wherever they lead. So, boys don't cry, yes, has been abused to say that boys don't have access to emotions or boys should not have access to certain emotions. That is patently untrue. But in traditional senses of men working in certain fields and certain jobs, such as war or such as very intense under pressure jobs where even an emergency, when an emergency can happen, you need to detach yourself from emotions in certain sorts of capacities. And you are going to be able to actually maximize your effectiveness in the world if you do not allow your emotions to drive you, but rather to become an informant or a counselor, right? So you watch your counselor acting in a certain way, and you take that feedback, and then you make your decision. But it helps generally to see some distance or feel some distance from your emotionality. And that's one way of, saying, well, what does it really mean that boys don't cry? What is the content of that? Pink is for Girls is purely fashionable. I don't know how that is even on par with Boys Don't Cry. She just threw that in there. It doesn't mean anything. But Boys Will Be Boys, again, I think I already said this, but Boys Will Be Boys is a way to suspend our wanting to smack down that really annoying son of ours who crashed the car, And that can be abused to deny responsibility to the boys, but it's a way of releasing steam. There's a practical aspect of that phrase. There's a reason why a cliche is a cliche. And yes, feminism and this rhetorical, modus operandi, they always look at the negative side of these things, and that's what really annoys me about it, right? Not just their whole passive aggressive evangelization of their ideology. That's how they motivate it, but one of the ways that they inform it, or one of the ways they make it make sense to them, is to only look at stereotypes as negative stereotypes. That's something that you would think that people with college degrees would get out of their system and stop basically straw-manning different cliches or different proverbs about the way that life has naturally evolved. Now, we're certainly under changing circumstances. We do not live in warrior times, not in this country at least, not in a lot of countries. There's not a lot of war going on, right? So we need to learn how to manage all these emotions that we still have that attenuate us to survival mode, right? And still figure out how to deal with them. And one of the things that we do as a society is we pour all that excess anger and rage into the internet, right? And it becomes like, if you look at it, it just becomes like this vomitorium for all these excess emotions that we don't have anywhere to do with, or all this excess attention that we don't have anything better to do with. Oh. See, the thing is about saying something over and over and again, I don't like to repeat myself. So I don't know how to introduce the cats in a novel way. And I was about to. Sometimes it just comes out, and this time it just didn't come out. So I just have to say, feed the kitty.